Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 131. Welcome again to the Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services, the commercial finance expert. Well, in this bulletin, we'll be looking at the continuing fallout from Brexit, and in particular, the impact on bank lending and business confidence. Also, awareness of alternative finance and the writing off of bad debts. How many businesses are taking a financial hit because of late payment? Let's start this week's bulletin by taking a look at the continued fallout from the decision to leave the European Union. Many surveys coming out that show that business confidence is on the way down. People are not sure what's going to be happening to the economy as we negotiate our exit from the European Union over the next 12 to 18 months. Well, in response to this, as I record this at the beginning of August 2016, the Bank of England has announced a cut in its base rate to 0.25%, a new historic low. Now, in reducing interest rates, obviously the Bank of England is looking to try and encourage business owners to dust off investment plans and go running to the banks to borrow cheap money because it's investment that will drive growth. Now, of course, whether that will have the desired effect is really down to that one thing: confidence. Confidence levels are low. Obviously, business owners are going to be very reticent about borrowing money. Right, in order to help hopefully get business owners to make that positive decision to borrow money, the Bank of England has also announced a new scheme designed to get a truckload of cheap money to banks that they will then on-lend at the same price to business owners. Now, the scheme, the Bank of England reckon, is going to probably get out about £100 million of cheap money out the door to business owners. Still early days, so let's see exactly how that scheme will work. Probably a bit similar to the funding for lending scheme, and which also had the same desire but wasn't really that successful. But hey, let's see how it goes. Well, the Bank of England also released lending figures to the end of June 2016 as to how much business owners were borrowing. Now, this was obviously really before the full impact of the exit result had been known, but it did show that bank lending continued to grow as at the end of June. In 12 months, bank lending overall to businesses was up 2.7% over that 12-month period. So a positive sign, but of course we know it's going the other way. And in fact, a survey came out from EY Item Club, which estimates that over the next 12 months, bank lending is going to start to decline, particularly in 2016, 17 and 18. And they think there's going to be a 1.8% decline in bank lending over the next year and another 1% the year after that. So we could see a lot of negative growth where bank lending is concerned. Well, what's the message? Well, of course, if you're confident about your business, you know your target market, now may be the time to borrow when cheap money is available. So do dust off those business plans and start thinking about, well, what can I do today in order to invest for the future? Let's turn now to alternative sources of finance, and in particular awareness levels of the different types of products that you can have in order to finance your growth plans. Now, a new survey has been carried out amongst 1,000 UK SMEs by the British Chambers of Commerce and the Bibby's Financial Services. And they asked business owners awareness levels of a range of financial products. Now, perhaps not surprisingly, highest levels of awareness with 93% of businesses were aware of overdraft facilities. Great. Problem is, banks are not that keen in giving out overdraft facilities these days. So whilst awareness levels may be high, it's questionable about your success rate in actually getting them. Next, 88% were aware of business loans and 86% were aware that you can get hold of a commercial credit card. Now, coming down to alternative sources of finance, 42% of businesses were aware of crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending. Now, that's very much higher than it would have been 2, 3, 4 years ago. But you can see it's still less than half of business owners realise that there is an alternative source of finance to the high street banks, being crowdfunding. Quick and easy to access, and also a very good place in order to get money where your bank has said no. So what can you do to increase your awareness levels? Well, obviously continue watching this bulletin, read our blogs, even just pick up the phone if you want to know what other finance options are available to you. Just get onto your favourite search engine. Just don't default to the banks. Another thing coming out of this survey carried out by the Chamber of Commerce and Bibby's was also looking about how many businesses actually applied for finance. Well, from those businesses surveyed, 47% of them said that they had applied for finance over the last 12 months, and of those, 42% of them had used the money for expansion. So really good, positive reasons to why they borrowed. But of course, all of this may change now as we go into this unclear period about exiting the EU, and clearly the storm clouds gathering on the horizon as regards where the economy is growing. So a really interesting survey. So don't forget, if you do want to know what other alternatives are available to you, just drop us a line, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we'll happily chat through what your options are. As we know, late payment continues to be a big problem for small businesses, particularly as we're entering into a period of economic uncertainty where cash is king, and business owners are going to do whatever they can to hang on to that precious resource, cash. Well, another survey carried out by Bibby Financial Services, part of their quarterly SME confidence tracker, has revealed that late payment is resulting in 27% of business owners saying that they've written off late payments in the form of bad debts. And the average write-off, about £11,800. Now that's a significant sum for business owners to be writing off. Now, because the message is here, what can you do about this to make sure that you don't take this hit on the chin? Well, as I said before, it's down to systems and processes. More importantly, making sure you have a very clear process when it comes to chasing overdue invoices. You've got to have a very clear structure around there. But more importantly, taking swift action. Bad debts will arise typically because you've taken too long to chase and you've not been hard enough. And I advocate making sure that you get experts in to help you chase those overdue debts. Get somebody who's not you to chase the debt. Employ a solicitor. There's very good ones out there who will do very formal letters, sometimes from only £2 or £3, which sends a very clear message to your customers that you will not tolerate late payment. I'm sure. Would you be able to withstand a bad debt of £11,800 as a write-off? I don't think so. Now, Bibby's also found out that it is taking now longer for business owners to get hold of cash. They found on average it's taking 38 days in which to get paid. Now that a year ago stood at 31 days. So there's been a 1 week deterioration in how quickly business owners are getting hold of cash. So the message there is just make sure that you're very clear what your invoicing process is from the time the invoice is sent out to the time it's chased, and moving very quickly if it's clear you're not going to get the money. Pass it on to experts and make sure that the money is in your bank account and not your client's bank account. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with me. And as ever, don't forget, if you're watching the video version, you can also download the podcast version available on SoundCloud, iTunes and Stitcher. All you have to do is go to those channels and search for Business Finance Bulletin. And if you are listening on the podcast version, just pop along to my YouTube channel, go to YouTube, search for Rob Warlow, and there you'll see this episode and all past episodes and a host of other videos with tips on raising finance and dealing with banks. Well, that's it for this bulletin. Thanks very much for being with me. Look forward to being with you next time. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.